Attention all business owners. Are you tired of managing your finances and taxes on your own? Let the experts at 1-800-TAX-MASTERS help. Our team of experienced professionals offers a range of services to help you keep your finances in order, from personal and business tax returns to monthly accounting, quarterly and annual tax planning, and virtual controller and CFO services. With our virtual services, you can get the support you need without ever having to leave your office. Don't let taxes and finances stress you out any longer. Visit www.1800taxmasters.com today and let us handle the numbers so you can focus on growing your business. And welcome to another live episode. I am your host, WIZE. I have a very special guest on. He's a best-selling author, fellow podcaster. I'm excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, Branch Isole. What happened? Oh, did he get booted out? Oh, okay. Well, something happened. I lost my guest. He was in the, I don't know if he thought I kicked him out, but well, how's everybody doing out there? Hopefully he'll get back on. Oh, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do right now. There he goes. Hello.
I went to unmute my mic and disconnected us.
I went and I was introducing and I went to go click you on. I'm like, okay. Well, anyway, welcome to the show, Branch Isole. Hey, it's always it happens. These things happen, especially when you're going live. You never know what's going to happen. But welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Will. It's great to be here. I've been looking forward to our time together.
So, what inspired you to become a storytelling author, and how does your work evolve over the time?
Well, that's a great question. I guess I'm a storyteller because I was a great liar in my previous life. I was in sales and marketing in the corporate world for a number of years, and like a lot of people in that venue, I learned to be a pretty good storyteller and a pretty good liar at the same time. So, it was just an evolution that took place, I guess. I had never thought about myself as a writer or an author. And then I had a midlife crisis. And instead of buying a Corvette, I went back to school. And out of that experience to, better myself in the path that I had chosen to be on, I had a compulsion to write my first book. And from that, the stories just started sort of tumbling out. So I became a storyteller by default, I guess.
But you've written 22 books.
That's true. I have. Most of them are fiction stories, short stories, poems, that kind of thing. And then I have a handful that are nonfiction, about life and the struggles and how do we become better in the place that we're at. So it's been a great journey. It was nothing that I had anticipated. If somebody would have said, "Oh, you're going to be an author," I would have laughed right along with them. But it worked out that way, and it's worked well. It allows me a lot of freedom, but allows me to touch on a lot of emotions and things that we go through in our everyday lives. And so it's the idea is to make the stories relatable, to the reader, and easy to read and easy to relate to, and something that the reader can then reflect on in their own life.
Oh, all right. So I mentioned you're a fellow podcaster. What made you go into what made you go into podcasting?
Well, that's an interesting story too, because when the pandemic hit, before that, I used to do like workshops and breakout sessions for, different groups and associations. So most of it was in person um, kind of presentations and workshops. And of course, when the pandemic hit, all of that collapsed, and there was no more in person. So, I don't know how I found out about podcasting, but I did. And I thought, okay, well, this is a way to continue to be in front of people. And so that's how I got into it. Um, Interestingly enough, the last 2 years since I started podcasting, I've done almost 200 podcasts. And out of that has come this new direction for me in terms of relating to audiences through podcasts. And up until this time, I have not had a podcast of my own. I've only been a guest on other programs, and so it's interesting how things work out. The next step has been I've been recently contacted by a group out of New York, and I have gone into a contract with them to start or have a new interactive live show as the podcast host. So for me, that's the next jump. It was in person, and then it was online and podcasting, and now it's going to be this new live show. So uh, it's been an interesting journey. It certainly has.
It's I started my podcast at, in 2020 as well, and it's grown because when I first started, I was strictly audio, and then I transitioned to video, and now I do live streams because I enjoy the audience interaction. When I do have an audience that comes through, some people ask questions, some people when they're interested in what the guest has to say, they'll ask a question, and even the guests love the interaction. So that's the reason I decided to go live, and I really enjoy it's a different element. It was my next step into whatever whatever my, I guess, the evolution of what what was the next phase of my podcast.
Yeah, it's a great journey. You get to that point at every stage where you go, okay, well, how is this working, and what can I do to make it more interesting and better for the listener or the viewer? And like you know, just sort of the next step evolved. I hadn't planned on it, and you know, I had toyed with hosting my own podcast. I've got a YouTube channel already where I post lots of work for people to read, and I thought, well, I could just add this to my YouTube channel and just have another episode, so to speak, in the articles and the short stories. And I just kept shying away from it and shying away from it, kind of like the writing thing. And then the opportunity just came, and I thought, okay, well, this is obviously the next step for me because the opportunity has shown itself. So I'm really looking forward to it. And like you, I'm really looking forward to the live stream where I can interact directly with the audience. Part of the program we're going to put together is where people can ask questions ahead of time. And then on the next episode, we'll answer those questions. And that's how we'll start the episode each week, is by answering a question that somebody has sent in. And then that hopefully will lead us into whatever that week's content is going to be. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is actually the third live podcast I've done, and they've all been really great because you never know, what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like prime example was at the beginning of the show, and I was about to click on you. I'm like, hold on, he's not there no more.
Yeah,
and
where did he
and
go?
it's live, but it's okay. It's all right. It happens. Technical difficulties happen. I laugh it off. The guest usually has the opportunity to laugh it off. So it's, you can't, when I'm podcasting, I can't get upset. I'm
Yeah,
doing what I love to do, and it's so much fun to be able to sit here and speak to guests like yourself, and just hear about everyone's journey in life and what they're going through. Like you said, in your previous life, you was a salesman, and you've used that previous experience and turned into a best-selling author, and now you're doing a podcast. It's crazy where life leads you. You never know
Yeah.
where you're gonna end up, what you're gonna end up doing. Like I
Boy,
didn't
that's
think I would be doing this right here. Like doing when I
yeah,
first
yeah.
started, it wasn't. I didn't know what direction I was gonna go with it. What was gonna happen with it, but when I finally did decide to go in a certain direction, and that's when the people started coming in, and I've had some amazing guests, and I've enjoyed it so much because I get to learn something, and if they catch it live, they get to learn something, or they catch the replay. So either way, it's good. I have a great time doing it, and then I also release it on my audio platform as well. So
Yeah, I think that the greatest thing about podcasting is that it's sort of the last free bastion of free speech, right? Because most of it is not sponsored. And because it's not sponsored, it's just you and the audience. And yet, in that vein, you still have a worldwide reach. And so it's kind of like, it's unlike all the other mediums of media that are out there because you can do it, live or recorded or with and without an audience. And yet you can reach someone in their home, where they're private and where they can pay attention and listen to as much as they want or not. But it allows so many broadcasters or podcasters to reach wide audiences that we never could before.
yeah, you're absolutely right. It's when I look at where my podcast is being downloaded at, it's amazing where when I see the United Kingdom, I see India, I've seen people in Brazil. It's amazing the reach you have, and to imagine the kind of impact. Like I feel that if I'm able to impact one person's life with an episode, I am doing something correct. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But being able to reach the people as many people as I do reach, it's mind blowing. It's not something I would have thought was possible at one point.
Yeah, the internet has definitely changed the world and all things in it. Now you have access literally to every piece of information that's available, and it's a great opportunity, and it's a great way for people to learn about things and other people and concepts and thoughts and all these things that we didn't have a connection to prior. And yet most of it's free. And that's the great thing about it is you know, this is whatever your interest may be as a listener, there's something out there, the podcast or some medium out there for you to enjoy and learn more or go a little bit deeper and how it affects our lives like we never could before. You could go to the library, but you only had access to whatever the library
I
held, and
had,
now you
yeah.
can go online and you have access to literally everything in the world at your fingertips, literally instantaneously. And so it's almost like, say, it's mind-boggling how much technology has moved us forward, as human beings, and yet there's some negative to that too, of course. But
Of course, yeah.
lots of opportunities to learn, and that's the great part, learning and
With
growing.
no, with the good there comes some bad, absolutely. But I'm a prime example. I've learned so much from YouTube, like as far as developing skills since I started podcasting. I've developed editing audio and video. I've learned how to create intros, outros, design logos, do background. This is all things that I didn't know prior to starting my podcast. So I've been able to develop skills that now, before even monetizing my podcast, I was monetizing the skills that I developed through podcasting.
Yeah, you had all those hidden talents you didn't even know were there.
Absolutely. I didn't. I don't even come from a media background. I didn't really know anything about mics. I didn't know anything about mixers, cameras. I didn't know any of that. All that is me wanting to learn and grow and develop and make sure that I provide the best quality sound, video, it was just me wanting to grow and just make sure that the content I put out was something that people would enjoy listening to. Something they were like, oh
Yeah,
man, that
exactly.
mic is crisp. I like that. I enjoy that. So when I decided to do it, I first started with a $160 Behringer's podcast studio from Amazon. But when I decided to really get involved more into the podcasting world, that's when I was like, all right, I have to invest in myself. I have to get certain equipment because like I said, I wanted to sound good. I want people to listen to it and be like, oh man, it's not blowing my ears. It's not, his mic is good, or and I invested in software. So it's it's me wanting to continue and grow and develop.
Exactly. Yeah. Learning is the key to growth, and growth
Yes.
is what life is all about, right? You're trying to move forward in your relationships at home, in your relationships at work, and all the things that that looks like. And that desire to learn and grow um, always presents itself as a challenge, but each challenge that comes along that we then understand and put to work for us allows us to continue on that path. And that's why we're here, is to continue to learn and grow and become better people. We can be better, better family members, better community members, and it all comes from learning and taking that challenge of what you didn't know and what was unknown at one time, and sort of making it your own. Yeah, we make mistakes along the way and stumble and fall, but the more often we do that, then like Edison said, I now know 999 ways, not to make a light bulb. So you learn from those mistakes, and you learn from the stumbling, and then that only allows us to do it better the next time. And you keep refining and refining and refining until your show content is where you want it to be, and your production is where you want it to be, and all of the technical things that go into making the podcast, you start to hone till they start to feel natural, and it comes real easy, and then you build and you build and you build, and so that's what the growth curve is all about, that learning, and learning what works, learning what doesn't work, and then using your strengths, for the things that will produce something for you, whether it's monetization or your reach or just a better show. But congratulations on that curve. That's great. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Oh, when I, like I said, when I first started, it was just me coming on, just being, and I get to be myself. That's something that I love about doing my podcast, is that I get to be myself. I get to be just, I come on and have some great conversations, and it's just the aspect of hearing other people's stories and seeing what they've been able to do in their life. Like you said, you come from a life of sales. You was a salesman. You learned how to, and now you're writing stories that inspire people, and wanting to help develop people. What was that transformation like for you? Like, was it something like, wow, I didn't know this is where this was going to lead me to?
Well, I don't know that we ever know where it's going to lead us to unless we're not growing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not willing to learn and try something new, and you're not willing to try and grow, yeah, it's easy to stay in the same place in your life, and sort of be content or miserably content in your life. But without that challenge, without that opportunity, it's difficult to move ahead, whether it's, like say at home or in a work situation. It's difficult to be more if you're not willing to try to be more. And so that constant looking at a challenge as a growth opportunity, instead of looking at, something to fear, or what if I fail, or what if I'm rejected, that's an easy place to go to. What I find, because I'm a whole lot older than you are, as we take on those challenges, we often discover it's not as complicated as we made it out to be in our minds, right? And all of the things that I'm going to have to do or learn, or all the steps I'm going to have to go through, and I won't be able to do it because I don't have the background or whatever it is. If you build upon the things that you do know and you are strong at, then the next opportunity almost inevitably presents itself. People talk a lot about manifestation and manifesting your future, or a lot of life coaches, are into manifesting. And the thing about manifesting is it's not necessarily having a dream or a goal that you want to accomplish, that's going to come out of nowhere. It's the manifestation comes in the fact that if you have that goal, if you have that visualization in your mind of where you want to be, in the future, whatever that looks like, 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. If you've got that goal visualized in your mind, then as you progress down the path that you're on, every opportunity either presents itself as a marker or a sign or a benchmark that allows you to keep going towards that goal, or stepping away from that goal. And that's where the choice comes, right? Things may happen, we get knocked off the path, or we get delayed in what our plan is. And as long as we focus on the obstacle or what's knocked us off the path, it's easy to get diverted. But if we know what that goal looks like at the end, whatever that might be, if you can see that with your mind's eye and you know what it looks like, then every opportunity that will take you down that path becomes self-evident. And you don't let the obstacles or the knock you off the path have that much value. You just get back on the path and you keep going. So you see the signs, you see the benchmarks, you see the things that are happening that will keep you towards that goal. And so that's how manifestation comes about. It's not thinking or believing, if I think hard enough or I do these things, that'll happen. It's a matter of, as I go down the path and I see something happen, I automatically recognize whether this will keep me on the path or this is going to try and knock me off the path. And that's where the success in the manifestation comes, because you don't get delayed or you don't get waylaid from your goal. And all of a sudden, you start to recognize the steps that are taking place that will allow you to continue. You don't have to know all the steps. All you have to do is know what that end looks like, and the steps then become self-evident.
No, you're right. You have to, it's when you start taking the action and things start falling into place, and and the opportunities start popping up, and you take that action again because all right, this is what I'm working towards, and this opportunity has come up. And because if you're gonna just sit there and think, oh yes, it's gonna happen, no, if you don't put any action towards it, if you don't put anything towards it, it's not gonna happen. You have to
Exactly
put
right. There's a 5-step process to achieving your goals, and it's real simple. It's the power of thought, right? Every thought becomes an action if you want it to be, good, bad, or ugly. And every action then that produces something that you want starts to become a habit. And when you start, on that path and reinforcing those habits, that you've got, this is where my goal is and this is how I'm going to get there. Those habits then start to define our character and who we are. And once we develop who we are and we've got that goal in mind, then that determines our destiny. And it's just like you going from, the simplest mic that's built into your computer to a better mic, and finally to the mic that, will do the job that you want it to do. And so that's the power of thought. Thoughts become actions, actions become habits, habits become our character, and our character defines our destiny and who we will be in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said 100%. It's prior to all of this happening, I was stuck in my own head. Didn't take action, and so
Yeah,
of course I was in a rut. I was complacent in where I was at, and when I finally decided to take that step and make myself uncomfortable and do something that I don't normally do, is when things started to happen. And
sure.
it takes you really wanting wanting to change and going out and making yourself like, okay, this is something I normally don't do, but let me take this risk. Let me take this opportunity. If you don't fail, it's a lesson. What happened? Why did you fail at it? It's not something you just stay down. You just pick yourself back up, dust it off, and find out what can you learn from that experience.
Yeah, the two things that we all struggle with, even coming out of childhood, especially, are insecurities and rejection, right? And most of the time, those are the two things that actually hold us back. You mentioned, in your head. I'm in my head, and it's easy to go to those two places if we, are stuck in that insecure place. I don't think I can do this. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the connections, whatever it may be. And as long as we're in that insecure place, there's no way we're going to move forward. And you can see this in a lot of people in your life, whether it's at home or work or wherever, your friends, acquaintances, the people who've got dreams and they can't get those dreams to manifest. Normally it's because I'm insecure, and my insecurities, I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too bald, I'm too, don't have the right clothes, don't have the right education, whatever that is. And when we give our insecurity that power, then it holds us back. So we're actually holding ourselves back. Once we can get out of that insecure place and realize, yeah, I'm not perfect, I'm not the way I wish I were, whatever that looks like to me. Well, nobody in the world is. Everybody is, in this life struggling. Everybody has stress. Everybody has pressure. Everybody's got conflict in their life. And by not feeding that insecurity, and by going out and saying, okay, I'm going to give this a try, I'm going to see if it works. That's the first step. Leave those insecurities at home. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's got the actual key to the kingdom. So, nobody's ahead of us that way. Once we get rid of that insecurity, then all we have to do is face the rejections that we have. And this is the second part. This is the insecurity keeps us from going out there. Once we get out there, the rejections are the things that make us want to retreat and go back in there, and go back to the insecure place. And then we come up with excuses or blame or, well, it's not my fault, or put that somewhere else. And this is why I can't succeed. And we get in that spiral, we get in that down spiral, and it's very difficult to get out of. And, then we get into drugs and sex and rock and roll and all the escape mechanisms that really keep us off the path. So, get out of the insecurity zone, and then get out there and realize, yeah, whatever you're doing, you're going to face some no's along the way. But if you don't take it personal and you take it as an opportunity to learn, if somebody's giving you constructive criticism, then take that criticism, And I love to watch Shark Tank, where the guys get on there and they get shut down by the sharks.
Yeah.
And some of them come out of there and go, well, the sharks made the biggest mistake of their life, right? Okay, whatever. There are other people come out of there and go, you know what? I'm going to take what they said and I'm going to work with it, right? And I'm going to go back and analyze and redo and take that valuable constructive criticism that they gave me and make it work for me, right? So whether it's, personal relationship, an intimate relationship, nobody wants to hear no. Nobody wants to be rejected. But if you look at that rejection as an opportunity for you to grow and become a better person. And if somebody tells me I talk too much, then when I start talking too much, like now, I need to rein myself back in, right? And say, okay, let's cut it short. So get over the insecurity and then get over the rejection. And then, the rest is just going for the goals.
All right, Branch, this has been a pleasure talking to you. I've had a great time. Now is the time of the show where you get the solo layout and you get to plug away and let everybody know where they can find you, what's your website, where they can get the books, everything.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, it's easy with me. Everything's under my name. Branch, like a tree, Isole, I-S like Sam, O-L-E. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a website. It's just branchisole.com. You can Google my name. It'll bring up all the links to the podcast I've been on and all the series I've written and the books and all those things. So it's real easy to find me. I want to say one thing before I go. If you've enjoyed today, like I have, do me a favor, go to the platform you're hearing us on and give Will and Stuck in Your Mind a great review and a great rating so he can keep bringing on guests who've got your best interest at heart.
Oh, thank you. I really greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
My
Yeah,
pleasure,
so
buddy.
everybody listening, if you haven't subscribed or haven't left a review, please go leave a review on Spotify, Apple, any of those platforms. Come to YouTube and leave a comment. But Branch, don't leave just yet. Let me just close out the show, and me and you're gonna chat a little bit more.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much.
All right. So now it is time for shout outs. Big shout out to A Pizzle. Thank you for showing up, my brother. I appreciate it. Big shout out to my man Ben 3 from the BS3 network, man. What's going on, brother? Our thoughts are so powerful. Absolutely, Ben. My man Corrado. Good luck to your Mets this season, Corrado. Got nothing but love for you. Thank you for always showing love, and I appreciate it. Big shout out to my Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady for all the support. Love you and appreciate you. Big shout out to our guest Branch for coming through and showing some love. Branch Isole. So definitely go check him out. He's a great guy. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.